Hi, it's Eric again from the Sensory Dad, and I just wanted to go over how we arrived at our initial diagnosis for my son Leo with his sensory needs. He's a sensory seeker. Deep pressure feedback has been a great thing for him. He has a little bit of issues with the clothing and everything, like we've talked about in prior videos. But initially, what alerted us is at the daycare that he was at, an amazing program they had, and the family that runs that locally here really saw some things in him, the temper and, different things of that nature that alerted them to maybe talk to a social worker that visits them and gives them the rating on the state scale. And we really credit them for a lot of the ways that we were able to explore how to solve his sensory needs. So, the first thing we noticed was he would W sit, and I don't know a good way to explain it other than the fact that he'd sit on his knees and then have his butt touching the ground so that, like, his knees, obviously were bent in such a way that it had to be uncomfortable. He would do that a lot. Uh, you know, it can't be good for your tendons. Um, he would tiptoe walk once in a while, almost like he was pigeon toed. Not really, with them pointed in, but just tiptoeing around. He also had, obviously the stuff we mentioned, the clothes. Tags would bother him, and then some of the textures and the tightness of the clothes or the looseness. There's no real rhyme or reason to that. It could be any sweatshirts, pants, socks, especially underwear. We ran into the meltdowns. That obviously is a parent's first thing, but most parents, and when you talk to other parents, because you reach out to just about everybody, meltdowns or something. It's boys. Every kid has meltdowns, and maybe they're tired or maybe they're hungry. And that's your first reaction to that. The unnecessary, well, I won't say unnecessary, but the unforeseen reason he would be exhausted versus everybody else, and just due to the sensory overload. I mentioned in one of the prior videos to where the kid's falling asleep, right after school. In the midday, he's still taking the naps and everything back when he was at the daycare that really helped us out. But God, he was just fatigued all the time, and obviously fatigue, helps to really egg on a lot of the behaviors that you see in sensory kids. Um, Water in a bathtub. Just talked to somebody on a group on Facebook about this. Water in a bathtub. It would be the trickling effect coming down over when you'd wash his hair. That was a big thing. The kid will swim all day long. He'll be in the pool night and day, splashing, whatever. And the minute he gets in a bathtub, he'd have an issue with that. Um, when we walk in stores or anything like that, he'd say, hold my hand. And then as you're walking, it's almost like he'd crave that deep pressure feedback, and he'd say, can you squeeze my hand tighter? And it's almost to the point where my wife, it's like she squeezed my hand when she was giving birth. Like an uncomfortably hard squeeze is what he was expecting out of us, and just looking for that deep pressure feedback. So a lot of these things we didn't put together initially. Trouble writing, the pressure in his fingers, that's something we work through with OT and that. So there's a lot of different signs, but if you don't know what signs to look for, you're just going to dismiss it as every kid because our daughter doesn't have any sensory issues, but sure enough, she showed us a lot of these things, and we just, you dismiss them. You don't think that there's an underlying problem because he still plays like other kids. He still learns like other kids. Cognitively, he was on an average level. What we didn't know when he was doing his testing was he's not doing half the freaking test. So it's like, oh yeah, your son's average. And it's like, well, man, when we do homework with him at home, or if we work on math or reading here, he excels. Like it's super easy for him. He just really gets it and picks up. His retention levels off the charts here. How the heck can he score average on tests? Like, is it just anxiety? Is he worried about taking a test? So that's hindsight being 2020. I wish we would have dug deeper then. So the licensed social worker actually recommended us to go to our PCP and look into OT and some other things, and we did that, and OT and play therapy. But the problem was when we looked at this stuff, they gave us exercises, and we started to self treat. And before we got them into the preschools and stuff like that, we were kicking butt. You know, we're working. We got them a special tool for the grip strength, writing. We got the little mats with the erasable pens and that. And every single day, we would take the time out to work with him on his writing and his verbal skills. And in that preparation, led to whenever he's tested for the OTs and the stuff of that nature, he scores higher than what services would qualify for. So, to be blunt, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Now, I'm an advocate of the minute you know that your child has the sensory issues, hey, let's get to work. You know what I mean? Let's really start attacking these things and try to get it to a manageable way that you can live a normal life, you can work a normal job, and your kid can be functional at school. So we're going to continue on the path we're on, where we're going to overteach and overwork with him, even though it's a detriment a lot of times whenever you go into these specialists. Because a lot of parents just do the 45 minutes at OT for the week and that's it. I talked to my OT this week and she said, really love how you guys work with him. You could tell the difference and I could see the progress in him. Great job, keep it up. And I said, well, doesn't everybody work on this stuff during the week? And she's like, no. Like most parents think that the 45 minutes of speech or whatever it is with them is sufficient, or the play therapy or whatever is sufficient for your child to do. And it's not happening at home. And I think that that's something that we all as parents need to really work on. I know with schedules and everything, and with 2 other kids and 2 stinking dogs that are always crazy, it's challenging. Me personally, to get more free time, I've given up professional sports just because I was dedicating 4 or 5 hours a week to watching the Steelers on TV and or football, and it's just listen. This time can be more constructive. I'm not getting anything financially or emotionally out of this other than a vacation from my stress of work and stuff like that. So I just felt a better use of my time, and it wasn't much of a sacrifice, believe me, was to focus on these kids and make sure that they're right. So I just want to tell you guys, early diagnosis is a great thing. I see a lot of people in these groups that are like, my kid's 18 months and already, we understand he's got a sensory and possibly autism and that. That's unbelievable. And that's fantastic that you guys are doing that. I had no idea, neither my wife nor I had any idea that, you could even think about diagnosing at such an early age. Kudos to everybody that was able to do that. Hopefully these videos can help you guys see these signs and, maybe get you a jump on this stuff and get you working. And, I wish you all the best of luck. And as always, subscribe and thanks for watching and commenting and anything I can do to help. Let's get these kids right. Thanks again.